Welcome, everybody, to a very special announcement here on Trojan Conquest Live. Tonight, Duce Robinson, the five-star tight end from Pinnacle High School in Arizona, made his decision for the University of Southern California, joining Lincoln Riley in his high-powered offense over the likes of programs like Georgia and Texas and Oregon. This is a huge boost. A lot of criticism has run the way of Lincoln Riley regarding the fact that he's having difficulty getting high school recruiting. This is one more example of the level of recruiting that is possible here at USC. Rick, how you feeling?
Hey, man, that is a big win for USC. Feeling excited. It's good to have the 6'5", 6'6" tight end from Pinnacle High School joining USC, and to get him over Georgia, that makes it even more special. So congrats to Lincoln Riley, his staff. What an amazing job, because he was pretty much all Georgia during the summer, and Texas kind of came in the fold. But a few weeks ago, he got some crystal ball. USC got some crystal balls, and you didn't know what to believe. But he just showed the video on his Instagram. So congrats to Duce Robinson and his family. It's been a long journey, very difficult one with a lot of decisions to make and a lot of hard work. So congratulations to Duce and his family.
Yeah, absolutely great story. A lot early on, they thought that he was all USC last summer. Things started to change. There was a lot of run for Georgia. It was pretty amazing because if you've been following college football lately, there's a school on the other side of the country that's been doing really well. I think they won 2 straight national championships, Rick? There was
back to back.
They had a 4-hour infomercial with a guy named Brock Bowers featured at tight end in their offense at SoFi Stadium in the national championship game.
Yep.
Absolutely a hot spot for tight ends. Their tight end room, they've had no problem getting pretty much any tight end that they wanted. This season, though, however, it looks like things are kind of turning around in Troy. Looks like we're beginning to show and flex our muscle. Anybody that knows, anyone watched recent Josh Pate, he talked about the fact that, look, there's a little story out there, and those of you guys a little bit older than 25 or 30 years old, remember a time when USC decided we'll have you, and we'll take you, and we'll take you, and we're going to build a team to go up against anybody in the country. I'm not sure if USC is exactly at that point, but I'm telling you what, Rick, it's looking pretty close.
Well, things are improving, and to, like you just said, to get Duce Robinson, the number 19 player in the country, number 1 tight end, a number 1 player out of Arizona, to come to USC over Georgia is a coup. Now, Georgia, they're not really going to be concerned. They've got a lot of great players. They've got Brock Bowers. They've got other tight ends. They have 12 top 100 players in this recruiting class. So they're probably official words like, hey, you know what? Good luck to the young kid. He's from Arizona, and he didn't want to come out here and compete or whatever. But if you look at it, and I'm just speculating here, but to take that player is huge. It's huge for USC. It shows you what USC has versus a lot of other schools. They have Lincoln Riley, okay, and I don't know why he didn't choose Georgia. We don't know unless he tells us. But I think maybe Todd Monken going to the Baltimore Colts was probably played a little bit into it, because here at USC, Lincoln Riley is going to be able to create the offense, especially for him, whether that's going to be a tight end, wide receiver. He's a 6'6" red zone target. So you and I talked about last week when Malcolm Epps surprisingly went into the transfer portal midweek last week. That kind of sealed the deal. Like, look, he probably sees the writing on the wall that Duce Robinson's most likely going to come to USC, because why would you leave if you're playing in your graduate year and you're a 6'5", 240 pound tight end? And Malcolm Epps was a transfer from Texas in his second year here. So that was a good sign. And then there's the baseball angle. We don't know. Is he going to be a major league prospect? Does he want to play college ball? You look at USC and Georgia, And many people would say, hey, well, maybe Georgia has a better program. You don't know. Stankiewicz just got hired at USC, and he's turning around the program immediately. And oh, by the way, there's another wide receiver that plays football at SC. He didn't play any games last year, but he's the starting center fielder on the USC baseball team. His name is Austin Overn, and he leads the nation in triples with 9. And Austin Overn is batting close to 370, is the number 1 hitter on USC, and they're off to a good 14-9-1 start. They have the most wins in the Pac-12. And so maybe that was another decision with USC. And if you take a look at NIL and marketing and building your brand, not to say you can't do it in the SEC and at Georgia and Athens, but there's a little bit different marketplace when you're in LA. You're going to be going to the Big Ten. Take a look at Caleb Williams and how he's built his brand. It's just a different market in Los Angeles. And people around the country that don't live here, that have never lived here, will never understand it. So I know the SEC is king in football. That's great. But USC is coming back. Thoughts?
Yeah. So to start out, we should try to take a look, huh? So how can I cheat over to here? Let me go ahead and let's look at 247. Let me pull it up really quick. So it's pretty amazing. Like I was saying, there was a lot of flack being thrown towards Riley for the recruiting. I think he was outside the top 10. These numbers, we got to remember, you guys, when you're doing these recruiting numbers, these guys are great. The guys 247 on 3. These guys do a great job as far as trying to go out, scout these guys, and try to make a prediction on how well they're going to play, how important they'll be to college teams. But it's not an exact science. So when you talk about decimal points, couple points here and there, it's really a bit odd. But we thought it'd be fun just to pull up the rankings and the class calculator really quick. I usually go to like we have 247. We have Instagram. I don't have the actual team rankings. Do you, Rick? Do you have those available?
I don't. I was looking at it. I believe USC with signing Duce is going to get them overall when you combine high school and transfer portal to the number 8 team in the country.
Yeah, I saw someone
right behind Miami.
Yeah, I saw someone saying we were number 5 right here. I don't know, touchdown USC. I don't think we get as far as 5. Now, maybe being number 5 overall. Maybe he's including transfers, Rick. I know that the high school ranking would have popped us up above Oregon, which is another point to talk about. Our farm team, our AA Eugene up north. They've been talking about the fact that they're winning this. They're winning the recruiting battle against USC. When in reality, again, they're just a farm system for us. This if we want to play the game, well, 1 point here or 1 point there, and we're doing a number system and basing it upon on 3 or 247, who has the better recruiting class, instead of really looking at the needs, right? We really talk about your recruiting classes. It's about, are you filling your needs? If you guys remember, we had a couple really high recruiting classes under Helton, but the problem was we didn't have any high defensive linemen. We didn't have any really high ranked offensive linemen in numbers lately, but we were always landing safeties, quarterbacks, wide receivers. So we were filling it, we were filling up on those positions, but we weren't really having great recruiting classes because there were huge holes. When you look at this USC recruiting class, it has not only scored really high on these rankings, but it's also filled a lot of our needs. And through the portal and through this high school class, you've seen a lot of positions where we're having trouble, like offensive line. We're losing guys offensive line. We reloaded offensive line. We were having trouble at linebacker. We have linebacker. We couldn't get a pass rush last year. They load up on the rush end position. So when you're looking at, numbers and stuff, that's all fun to do. But if we're going to play the game up there, AA Eugene, if you guys want to talk about how you guys are dominated, you guys are the best recruiting school in the Pac-12. Well, guess what? This year you're not. With this pickup, USC is now number 1.
Yeah, and Damn Sports Media, thanks a lot for tuning in. Yeah, there is no comparison. Georgia is the best team in the country today. It will be next year. I have no doubt about that, just like you have no doubt about that. Like I said, Georgia has 12 top 100 recruits. Alabama has 11. So I get that. Not saying that USC is a better program. Not at all. Not even close. But we're building. We're coming back. Texas is a 3rd team with 9 top 100. Ohio State has 7. USC has 6, along with LSU. So SC is turning the corner, and USC has a very high ceiling and a lot to offer versus other universities. Like I'd mentioned, between going to the Big Ten, NIL, Southern California market. So it's going to be fun to see what's going to happen in the next few years as you can build a roster quicker than you could several years ago. So, hey, we'll have to see what the 24 cycle brings, but this is a good way to close the 2023 cycle. And ironically, it is opening day. Like to give a shout out to our friend DeReal MVP. Thanks for tuning in. And yes, I'm wearing my Dodgers jersey because, hey, Duce plays two sports. He plays baseball. Maybe he chose to make his announcement on opening day. So it's opening day for baseball. Hey, and it's also a great way to open this new era for USC football. So loving it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that this was not on accident. I do believe that baseball plays a huge role in this young man's life. I'm sure Deuce picked today as a great day for him to announce that he's going to be attending USC. Just really quickly, Jason Moose, thank you so much for a $2 super chat. Congrats to Tim and Rick. I heard this trending. He was trending USC. Yeah, it's been a very poorly kept secret. The top guys at 247 pretty much all came out and said that he was coming to USC. It was all Georgia until it wasn't. Then all of a sudden it came swinging back towards USC. So we appreciate that from you. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna pop up just really quickly some video. So just to give you guys an idea, you guys could go ahead and check out. It's all over YouTube. But is once we saw the fact that we had guys, the biggest one, if you were watching our show, that was really weird, was the fact that you had him decide today, but the news that came out with Malcolm Epps leaving. When Rick and I both were talking, back and forth, as soon as we heard that, it's like our eyebrows went up. We talked about on our Sunday show. That was a really big hint, 2 weeks into the camp, and all of a sudden you have your big guy, your big receiver who I mean, I was always waiting for him to be that goal line option. Malcolm Epps was a big dude and strong guy, and he could catch the ball. When I saw that he was leaving, that left a big hole and it made me raise my eyebrows. What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what we talked about. And actually, Lincoln Riley earlier in the week was asked, "What's going on with the tight end room right now?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's not much depth." He kind of chuckled, but I think that was the day after he threw the bat signal, the fight on bat signal. So you kind of put two and two together, but anything can change, right? The last moment, Duce could have made a decision to go to Georgia. We don't know, but glad that he's a Trojan. And I've got a question for you, Tim. And I got a question for the chat. So we were talking about Georgia being back-to-back national champions, and they lose out on the number one tight end, and a lot of people thought he was going to go to Georgia. Let's harken back to when Pete Carroll won back-to-back national championships. In the 2005 recruiting class, similar to right now with the 2023 recruiting class, USC lost out on a player that ironically was number 18 in the country. He was a five-star player, offensive player. And as Georgia just lost out on the number 19 player in the country, a five-star player. Can you name that player, Tim, or people in the chat that USC?
Did he go to Cal?
He did. He did go to Cal.
So is it Deshaun Jackson?
There you go, Deshaun Jackson.
See, I thought it'd be a hard one. I thought it would be a number. Oh, was 18 was the number?
No. I wasn't giving you a number. I was just saying he was the number 18 player. See if you can name him. But yeah, USC lost out on Deshaun Jackson. They had the number 2 player in the country, number 1 wide receiver committed to SC out of Nashville, and that was Patrick Turner. But a lot of people thought Deshaun Jackson is going to go to USC, and he went to Cal. Yes, people that are a little bit younger, that are under 30, Cal did have some great players that went to Cal at that time. You might have heard of Aaron Rodgers, Marshawn Lynch, and they had Deshaun Jackson. So,
yeah, be careful. You guys remember, you need to be careful when you start celebrating recruiting championships a year before they're decided. So I know December is coming on for the early signing day. But be careful, about talking about recruiting in especially in March
Yeah.
when the season hasn't even been played out yet. I know a lot of people, if you remember, if you were a Notre Dame fan this time last year, you guys were already talking about how great things were going to be and how how great the recruiting class is going to be. Well, things can change over a season and they can change really quickly. So you do need to be careful when you start celebrating recruiting victories way, way too early.
The thing I love about this signing is it gives USC just an athletic red zone target. If you look at USC's roster, we talked about Malcolm Epps transferring. We also had um, Kyle Ford, a 6'4" wide receiver, transferred to UCLA. We lost a couple of other wide receivers, CJ Williams to Wisconsin. Um, we lost John Jackson III. But really, we didn't have a tall receiver. We have a young guy coming in, Jacoby Lane. He's 6'5", out of Arizona as well, Red Mountain High School. But he's got a slider build. Now you add a Duce Robinson to this arsenal, and the speed that you have with freshman Zach Branch, and you have with guys like Mario Williams, Taj Washington, Rayleigh Brown, Michael Williams. It's just ridiculous the riches that Caleb Williams has and Lincoln Riley. And kudos to Zach Branch because he was really, him and Malachi Nelson were recruiting Duce Robinson hard, even when all signs were him going to Georgia. They never stopped recruiting. Those are outstanding individuals. They wanted to be Trojans. And at the end of the day, people that players that come to USC because they want to be here. Other parts of the country, they don't understand it. This is a special place, and they're stacking wins. They're stacking recruiting wins. They obviously went from 4 to 11 wins last year. Yes, there are things that USC has to improve on. Obviously, the defense, but we're coming. And there's a lot of people out there that don't want to see us coming, and a lot of people that put a lot of effort in years ago to take us down. And yeah, what you said about Josh Pate, what he said the other night, it's so true. If you're 35 and younger, you don't understand. You don't understand. But if you're older, you understand. If you've
Yeah.
lived it and you've seen it, there's nothing like it. So
Yeah.
I look forward. I look forward to this ride, Tim. What do you think?
Yeah. When USC is right, when the athletic department is healthy, when they have the right coach, USC is a football juggernaut. You could hate us or you could love us, but you can't deny that fact. And again, if anyone watched Josh Pate the other night, I was just like, yes, thank you. Someone nationally is just really calling it how it is. He laid out pretty clearly. But it's going back to tight end. So USC set up a tight end recently, and you can again. Here's another little wink, wink, nudge, nudge that Lincoln Riley kind of pulled off was the fact that he said that when he was asked about the tight end room and the depth there because of what's happened, again, losing, a Malcolm Epps, um, Ethan Ray, I believe medically retired, I think. Um, Jude
Yes.
Wolf is still recuperating from injury. We won't have Walker Lyons this year because he'll be serving the freshman. He'll be serving a Mormon mission, 4-star. And then, but Cade Eldridge also he'll be coming in a little bit later. He was not an early entrant, so it's been pretty thin. I really love what I've seen from Lake McCree though. Lake McCree flashed last year. I really love his athleticism. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but anybody that saw him take that ball down the right sideline, hurdle the guy in the Notre Dame game, sees that he can play. If anyone remembers his freshman year when he went over the middle at home, I don't remember who they were playing, and absolutely got lit. He high pointed, got lit up, came to the ground. I thought he was dead. He held on to the ball, walked off the field on his own. The kid could play, and he looks like he's put on some size, and I'm excited to see that. So with this Duce Robinson addition, the loss of Malcolm Epps, him leaving, Ray retiring, not having lines this year, this defense, this tight end room just got a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, and maybe that was a factor in Deuce's decision. If you look at, again, he might play tight end, wide receiver. We don't know, but his size is and his athleticism is undeniable. And you look at other big wide receivers that have come to USC, like a Mike Williams, Dwayne Jarrett. They've done some remarkable things here. Keyshawn Johnson, he was the first, tall receiver that made his mark here. And there's a blueprint for success here, without a doubt. And it's even going to be higher with Lincoln Riley. So exciting day. And it's going to create some momentum for recruiting as we move in full cycle 2024. Lots of recruits coming out in April, coming to the spring game, and over the summer. So now we look at Dylan Raiola. Is that the next domino? Who knows, right? But if you pull somebody like him into the fold, that gets the 2024 recruiting class going.
Yeah, Rick, we had that conversation, and so Rayola is going to be playing at Pinnacle, which is Duce's old school, and there is a connection there. Do you want to talk a little more about that connection between Dylan Rayola and the Robinson family?
Well, I think it's been reported that Duce's dad um, has a some type of training business, and both Dylan and Duce worked out with Duce's dad, and they both played baseball at one time. But Dylan was reported to at one time going to be on Duce's travel ball team, but that year I guess he decided to fully commit to football and stop playing travel baseball. So, but that's kind of relationship that's been reported that they have. They're obviously both from the Phoenix metro area in Arizona. Another player that also came from Pinnacle High School is Elijah Page, offensive lineman. So he was originally committed to Notre Dame, flipped, came to USC, and I'm sure he was also working with Zach and Malachi Nelson to recruit Duce Robinson. I'm sure that there was some type of conversation that was going on, but
yeah. So
great to have him on board.
To recap, anybody's just showing up right now, USC has just landed 5-star tight end from Pinnacle High School in Arizona, Duce Robinson. Guy has elite measurables. He's exactly what you want in the tight end. 6'6", about 230 or so. Yeah, he's got the frame. He still looks a little bit slight. He could probably put on another 20 pounds. Maybe play at 240, 250, which eventually would make him that prototype NFL tight end. He's huge. He's got a 6'10" wingspan. So that catch radius is going to be amazing. Gigantic hands, grab the ball strong. He runs crisp routes. You watch him on his videos. I've seen a lot of his stuff like 7-on-7. He gets off the line really fast. It just seems like out of his breaks, he's crisp. You can tell he's a 2-star athlete. You can see that athleticism just coming right out of this guy. Obviously at 6'6", he's athletic. He can jump, so he's gonna be able to high punt a lot of balls. And they're at On3, they were drawing comparisons to Jimmy Graham. But there's definitely, he probably could pick if he wants to go NFL. Mike Judge he was a big fan of Mike Judge growing up. He loves baseball. We got pictures of him in USC wearing USC gear, Diamondbacks gear. So he definitely can play either one. The good news is he's coming here to USC, but we have a little cloud hanging over us though, because he will be. Let's see if how high his name is in the Major League Baseball draft coming up. I believe that's early July 1st. Is that correct? Do you know the date, Rick?
I don't know the exact date, but I think
July,
it's
though.
early July, around the All-Star game.
So in the chat, if you guys
back.
have to know that exact date, that'd be great if you could throw it in there for us.
So here's some interesting numbers, just to show kind of what the improvement that Lincoln Riley and his staff have made in 1 year. If you recall, he was hired at the end of November of 2021, so less than a year and a half. And he came in, the first class he signed, the 2021 class, had 8 players, actually 9, but the punter from Australia, Atticus Bertrams, never showed up on campus. We don't know what happened with Atticus. So there was 8
weird.
total high school recruits. Okay, 8. And so we had to thrive in the transfer portal, and they signed 20 players in the transfer portal that first year. So taking a look at this year, Duce Robinson would be the 22nd high school commit in this 2023 class, and they have 6 top 100 players. So what a difference from having 8 high school recruits last year to 22 this year, and 6 are top 100 players. So That is what is to be celebrated. That is a big improvement. And then you look at the type of players that got the transfer portal this year, the quality, 12 additional players in the transfer portal. So things are looking very bright moving forward for USC.
B Hunter's bringing up a great point. This wide receiver room was already disgusting. I mean, just filthy, disgusting.
And we lost 3 players to the transfer
that are probably going to be starting at every one of the schools they just went to. I mean, almost without a doubt in my mind, they're going to be starting. They're going to be somewhere in that rotation. If not starting, they're going to be heavily in the rotation at receiver. But, Brendan Rice came off an amazing game, amazing end of the season in that Cotton Bowl, just showing all his size, showing, it looked like he got rid of those little drops. During the season, he had these drop issues. Mario Williams coming over from Oklahoma came in, as advertised. The guy is just athletic, makes great catches. He's got burners, speed. Michael Jackson flashed. I still keep thinking back on that little screen pass he caught and just took it right to the house. And there's another one on the left side where it was there in flat screen, bubble screen in the middle, and he just took it to the end zone on an important play late in the game. He's amazing. Taj Washington has shown us over the years just how many, he's going to make the catches. He'll be that guy. Everyone look at the name, and then Taj Washington will show up with like 8-9 catches and lead the team. Then you have issues also. What's that?
I forgot about Kyron Ware-Hudson out of Mater Dei. He had some great catches this year too. When he got playing time, he was catching balls all over the place as well. So there's so many guys on this team.
We're not done yet. We got Dorian Singer coming on. He was the second leading leader in the Pac-12. We got him from AAA Arizona last year.
That's right.
He's coming over, and he's going to be in there. Then we pick up 3 of the best receivers in this high school class. The marquee player would have been picking up Zachariah Branch out of Bishop Gorman in Nevada, the number 1 wide receiver, top 10 player. I think he's a top 5 player in the country, quite frankly. Electric, probably the closest thing. I'm sorry, Adoree Jackson, but probably the closest thing, in my opinion, to the number 5 Reggie Bush that we've had as far as athleticism, speed, and just the guy's just a freak. Then you have right here in Los Alamos. Rick, give me 1 second. Let me finish last 2. I got 2 more guys here. So then you also have Makai Lemon from Los Alamitos High School. He was the guy that was catching a lot of balls from Malachi Nelson coming in. I watched him single-handedly take on St. John Bosco, and those 2 did their best against an overmatched team, but they balled out, so he could play. And then you already talked about Jacoby Lane. He's a big, tall receiver, but he's more of like a Dwayne Jarrett, kind of a skinny, wiry kind of guy. But he's going to be amazing in the end zone. Sorry, Rick, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say you're not going out on a limb by saying Zach Branch is comparable to Reggie Bush. And I have no reservations about that comparison because this kid is just amazing. And he's a difference maker. And so how are you going to cover these guys? That's what I want to know, is each of these receivers brings a different skill set, and they're just going to keep on running them out there, right, in waves. And then you look at the running back room too. So it's going to be exciting to see all the pieces, and Lincoln Riley put together plays in his lab this off season, and it's going to be pretty exciting. The one thing that I think we read about, we hear about, is the culture that is changing. And that's a big difference in the past less than year and a half. And I read somewhere that Lincoln Riley went up and visited Pete Carroll up in Seattle to learn about the USC culture, because it is special. And like I mentioned before, it's very special. If you don't know about it, you don't know about it. But, I don't know if I should say rest in peace, but F you, Paul D., the AD from Miami. And here's some numbers for you. That MFer.
Don't hold back, Rick.
Yeah, no, that guy perpetuated. He was a pawn for the NCAA and for the SEC and ESPN that took down USC. I've got my opinion. We've seen it, but that guy was that guy was hiding the Pell Grant scandal that happened at Miami with Nevin Shapiro under his watch, with all the hookers and cocaine and all that crap, and he's the pimp that takes down USC. Well, that, you know what? Karma. AD, Paul D. He died 2 years later after the sanctions came out on USC. So I hope you rot in hell, you MFer.
Happy days, Rick. Let's focus on the happy.
I know, but here's some numbers for you. Since Miami, that happened when the sanctions came out. If you take a look at the records from 2011 through this last year, 2022, 12 years, okay, USC has the 20th best record winning percentage-wise after taking those ridiculous sanctions that would have killed almost any other program in the country. Miami is number 37. Those sanctions would have killed many schools, and there you go. So that's karma for Miami. And even with Mario going over there and John Ruiz and NIL, still in those 12 years, you're number 37, Miami. Suck it.
Yep. Hey, Joe Boyd, really quick, back to you. Did you not hear me rattle off that incredible list of wide receivers? I think we're okay at wide receiver. I think if USC needs to go, and there will be, remember, there's going to be a lot of people that are not going to be happy with where they end up on the depth chart after spring ball. So there's going to be another huge round of people ending that portal. I think USC needs to land a couple of defensive tackles, nice big fat ones. Speaking of gigantic tackles, though, USC is getting a lot bigger. And with that, I want to make sure that you guys go ahead and have a chance. I want you guys to come in right now. You could talk about spring practice. You could talk about this great news we have, Duce Robinson. You could talk about the receivers. You could talk about your team. Come on in right now. I dropped the link. I'm going to drop it one more time for you guys. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what just happened. Again, to recap, USC just picked up 5-star tight end Duce Robinson from Pinnacle High School. He will be joining Lincoln Riley's high-powered offense and this wide, incredible arrangement of wide receivers.
I think Joe Boyd might be being facetious there. That we need.
I don't know, because he followed it up at saying that we need to add a couple more guys. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe he is. I'm not really sure on that.
I think we're going to probably get 2 or 3 more guys in the portal. I hope that they're defensive linemen. Please bring us defensive linemen.
And then if anyone could take a look, I don't know if you guys had a chance, if anyone's out there that has 247, take a look if they've updated their rankings. I'm not sure how quickly they do that, but I am curious to see exactly where USC is going to fall. We do believe that using the class calculator that they were going to jump up, I believe right behind Oklahoma, incorrect. So between Oklahoma and just surpassing number 7 Oregon to be the number 6 class in the 2023 cycle.
Here, I'm refreshing mine real quick. Let's see what we got. So yes, this has been updated as of 8:45 Eastern time, or I'm sorry, Central time.
Oh, number 8.
Number 8. Ahead of
okay.
Oregon.
Now number 8, is that for the high school rankings or is that for the overall rankings?
That's for the high school rankings. So for overall, let's see what they have here. USC at number 7, ahead of 8 Miami, 9 Oregon, and 10 Tennessee, just behind number 6 Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So remember, it's not how you start the race, it's how you finish it. And I do want to go back to the fact that, remember, the numbers are important. When you look at these teams, you have your outliers, you have your anomalies, like TCU, and then Michigan fans. I know by 100 of you in the chat. You guys aren't exactly always scoring in the top 10. So top 5 or top 6. So, you guys kind of, I believe, overachieved as far as recruiting. But usually when you look at the guys that are, the Ohio States, actually Oklahoma was also a little bit of an outlier, right? I mean, I know that you had some higher classes, like around maybe 7 with Lincoln Riley, but they had some higher than that. And they were able to get into the playoffs. But you look at the teams that are winning national championships. That's where I'm going to leave it at. If you look at the teams that are winning national championships, they are the ones that are winning recruiting, the recruiting championships, or at least following the top 2, 3 in the country. So in order to be a national champion, there's no mistake. Sure, you can build a lot in the portal, but you have to start landing those top 5 recruiting classes. And it looks like in year 2, technically, this is the first really full year of recruiting for Lincoln Riley. He's going to finish at 8.
Yeah, and Georgia and Alabama have been stacking top recruiting classes for the last 4, 5, 6 years. I think Kirby Smart I don't know if it was his first or his second year, definitely probably his second year. So 27, 18, 19, 20, 21, like 5, 6 years in a row. So that's why Georgia has won 2 national championships, or is a big reason why. Obviously, a lot has to do with coaching and development, but they're an excellent program. And so they're the bell cow, and Nick Saban's Nick Saban, right? But there's a lot of similarities between Georgia and what Kirby Smart has done in 7 years. If you look back at what Pete Carroll did when he first started out in 2001 in his first 7 years. And we can get back into that another time for another show. But I'll just say there's a lot of similarities, and it all starts with recruiting. And the fact that USC pulled one today against Georgia doesn't really mean anything. Not to Georgia, it doesn't. But does it mean something to USC and what they're building? Absolutely.
Well, there's an interesting comment from Nick Saban coming out, and he said when it was asked, I think it was Rick, maybe you even, I don't know, someone, was it you, Rick, that forwarded it to me? Basically, he was saying, they asked him, who worries you in recruiting? And he said USC. But here's the thing, that's just a little bit of Nick Saban taking a jab also at Georgia, right? Because clearly the people that he's going up against the most um, are the people that are in Georgia. But make no mistake about it, I do think that this is a huge feather in the staff's cap, getting a solid top 10 class, and in doing so, really solidifying the future for recruiting for USC, showing that we can be a player on the major stage. You do have to have these classes in order to survive. Definitely at the highest level of football. We've seen a lot of teams make it to the playoffs and get embarrassed. To do it, you need deep depth at line and depth in the rest of your squad. So, Rick, we were planning on doing a call-in show, but apparently we have a lot of people on, but nobody's feeling like calling in. So I'm thinking maybe unless you have anything else to add, we can go and wrap up this nice night.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any questions anybody wants to answer or want to ask. Go ahead and we can address any of those. If not, hey,
Yeah.
let's call it an evening and we'll rock and roll.
If you could do me a favor, you guys, a lot of you guys, the analytics here on YouTube show that a lot of you guys are tuning in. However, most of you guys are not subscribed to the channel. We will be doing weekly shows every Sunday night at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern time, where we talk Trojan football. We are trying to get a little open. We are trying to get a phone line so we don't have to use the StreamYard account. So those of you guys who are watching on TV can actually call in. But if you would just take a moment to go ahead and like the video if you've enjoyed it so far, and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you can get our up to date. We will be going live just like this one. If any breaking news happens, we will be popping out. So, Rick, if that's all, I don't think we have any questions.
Hey, it's perfect timing. It's opening day. I think the Dodgers are just gonna about to throw the first pitch if they haven't done so already. So, congrats to USC, Lincoln Riley, and Duce Robinson for becoming a Trojan. And let's fight on, Tim.
Awesome. All right. Hey, welcome to the family, Duce Robinson. You are truly amazing. I cannot wait to see what this offensive juggernaut can do. And like we said, come on, Grinch. We just need maybe a top 50 defense. And I think that we could really turn some heads this year. So, Rick, thank you so much for being here. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Duce Robinson, thank you for joining the family. Until then, we'll see you guys Sunday night. Take care, everybody. Wow.